Along came some bad boys to crash the party.
Girls like guys who were bad boys. You had to take that. They were good boys. E17 were bad boys.
Everybody in the house of love. Everybody in the house of love.
I was E17 at school because it was the cool band. But I used to listen to Take That at home.
One love, one love.
I was never a big Take That fan, actually. I always preferred E17 because they were a bit rougher.
The E17 fans were scary because, you know, they were a bit like E17, rough and ugly. I'm allowed to say that. Well, I said it anyway.
We were allowed to like an E17 song because they were a bit cooler. But I don't think, in my school, I don't think I was allowed to like Take That. I think I'd been beaten up.
Coming up next, we find out just how wide the North-South divide really was.
I think they were too stoned to really worry about it. They had marshmallows, we had marijuana.
Take That had become Britain's first manufactured boy band, but a big enough chunk of potential fans, female or male, were tired of the squeaky clean facade and fancied a bit of rough.
They were four really cheeky, sexy young men. I mean, they were. I mean, whether you were heterosexual or homosexual or whatever, there was just an appeal. There was just this persona about them that was so likeable.
Well, I quit my job about 6 months too early because I used to hate it. And, like, my dad found out, he was like, you ain't in a pop band, get back to work, like that. So, when my dad, because I was only 17 at the time. Man. Do I? Yeah. So I was only 17 at the time. My dad didn't actually believe it until he come to the signing with me where we had to sign a contract and he actually said that it was £1 million.
Remember the wallet, branding it, I couldn't close it. He was laughing. He was like, look, so look, give me pocket, look. He was like that all bit. It's great. They were four oiks from the East End of London. Tony Morton was the principal of the band, he was the songwriter. He sadly didn't have a particularly brilliant voice.
Brian was going to be one of the backing dancers, and it was one of those things. They heard him sing, he had an amazing voice, and the whole thing changed.
It was never intended that I was going to be the lead singer. It was just something that kind of happened. It just fell into place. And he just happened to have the voice of an angel, and he did have a voice of an angel. Still has a voice of an angel. Trouble is, he's got the brain of an ant to go with it.
Tom Watkins is a massive character, and he used to come into the building and everyone would be petrified because he just used to yell at you, and it was, you know, you'd be, oh my God, Tom Watkins is coming in, we better have our shit together. And he had bought London Records, this band, E17, who were the antithesis to the Take That's and all the kind of goody two-shoe groups.
The first video I ever saw of Take That was them having sort of jellies mopped up their bare bottoms by some sort of near-naked young lady with a floor mop. I mean, and dressed in sort of what we would deem as being bondage gear. Take That were out before us, but they was doing the leather jockstrap thing and all that, doing the gay clubs, weren't they? They were probably living out the fantasies of their manager at the time, who I understand as a homosexual, and perhaps he recruited them for that very reason.
When I started off in this business, I used to look up to two managers. I wanted to be like Nigel Martin Smith or Tom Watkins because they had the two big bands and they were kind of rivals at the time. It was E17 versus Take That.
There was always this battle, who was the best, who was going to be number one.
Tom Watkins wanted to instill a bit of kind of good boys versus bad boys, a kind of north versus south.
Tom Watkins came along and, you know, with these lads from East London saying, you know, we're more credible and all that, you know, all that bullshit and doing all this to the camera.
The whole image, the fact they had the fifth member, Levi the Dog, that was Tom's idea. The lyrics were a lot edgier and the boys kind of wore the combat trousers before anyone else was doing it, and he just came with a whole new angle on the boy band.
Outside is raining, but inside is wet.
It was like, I've got E17, I'm going to wipe the floor with Take That. And when it didn't happen, and we wiped the floor with him, when I wiped the floor with him, I don't think he was best pleased. So there was a bit of rivalry between me and him.
It never came from us, ever. It was a newspaper-generated thing.
Whether it was all true or not, the papers obviously wanted to make something more out of it.
They want to sell papers, and that's all it's about.
They got the good press, we got the bad press.
They didn't care what people thought of them, which is good in a way, I think.
I think they were too stoned to really worry about it.
It's more of a marketing thing than real rivalry between the bands. Certainly, E17 and Take That, when they did Top of the Pops and that lot, got on really well.
The E17 boys used to meet up with the Take That boys on the road in some motorway cafe somewhere, and they'd exchange notes. I mean, they always seemed to be poor as church mice and didn't have two acres to rub together, and our lads were probably too busy selling drugs to sort of supplement their income. I mean, it was chalk and cheese, really.
They had marshmallows, we had marijuana.
He had E17, I had Take That, I won, end of.
They did go out and they screwed as many girls as they could, and they took copious amounts of drugs, and they drank loads of alcohol, and they partied.
I've done all right before the band. I don't need a band to get going. It does help. It does help, doesn't it?
I saw your face, I knew you were the one.
If you take 5 boys on the...
As you're growing into an artist, so it feels like it's a 5-year puppet ride, you know, for the first 5 years. So you do this, do that. And then when you actually turn into an artist and you realise, yeah, man, I can do this and I'm getting better at it, everyone kind of goes, no, thank you.
Because he's the lead singer, he's getting not fed up with singing the songs, you know what I mean, but he wanted to do a bit more R&B, his style of singing. And I think because he started doing that, Tom didn't really like that, do you know what I mean? And I think Tom and Brian's always had this thing, and I always remember Tom always turning around and saying, I'll make sure you never work again. Do you know what I mean? So...
And that was back then. You failed. Brian put himself into dope oblivion on so many occasions, and I don't think he can even remember half of the history of E17. I just had a big row with the management and said, look, I'm not happy, I'm run down, I'm tired, I need some time off. You're getting this next single going. What about the time off that you said we was going to have? So everyone said to me, OK, Brian, and I've just shouted at everyone and said I want to take everyone to new management because we want to make R&B, we want to do what we want to do. And I thought, I'm not going to be your puppet no more, the management contract's going to end. And I think because I had a go and I reared up, the management must have just went, well, he's not on our side no more, is he? I'm not interested in those kind of theatrics or that kind of pantomime. It was all too much for me, and that was it, really. So I washed my hands of it.
What happened next would see Brian and E17 decline into scandal and breakup.
Brian Harvey, the lead singer of the pop group East 17, has apologised for saying in a radio interview that the drug ecstasy was safe. He now says that the remark was stupid.
I've done 12 one night, you know what I mean? Loads of them, I've been off it on them, do you know what I mean? And the thing is if you bang one, you go out, you have a good night. And that's what people want to do. And really, in the long run, it's a safe pill and it ain't doing you no harm. I don't see the problem.
I don't care what anyone says, mate. I will set up at the end, yeah? I will set up. And I was asked to do an interview on my own. I'd done it. The guy asked me how many I'd done and how I felt. And he was a new journalist. The guy was trying to make a name for himself. All he needed was 2 quotes. By 5:30 the next morning, mate, I was public enemy #1. And that's how you get rid of your lead singer out of a band.
Baby, if you got to go away, don't think I could take the pain. Won't you stay another day?
The consequence of that outburst was a very convenient junction for me to say, you know, I've had it. And quite frankly, I was bored with it. I mean, I spent more time with criminal lawyers trying to get him in and out of scenarios that he put us in. So I think it was a perfect junction to end this party before he got any more sour.
Don't you know we've come too far now just to go and try to throw
Brian was clearly, and still is, bless him, a complete one-off. A unique guy in that way, and uniquely honest as well. And, you know, it was going to cause the death of that band.
The press, one 22-year-old boy, they just came for me.
If you do drugs in public or say it's okay to do drugs, then, to be honest, you deserve to be caned for it, really.
Brian Harvey made a huge mistake, and I bet he didn't even know he was doing it at the time, and that's the terrible thing, because he's a really talented guy, and the fallout that he got from that, he just probably was blown away by that, and I doubt he's ever really recovered.
The amount of pressure that them press can put on a person, I can't even begin to tell you what that done to me. From then, that is when my life started going wonky in '97, after that ecstasy come in. That is the thing that is responsible for putting me in the nut house twice. It was the added pressure that I didn't need that nearly made me commit suicide. Well, tried to commit suicide twice then. Sunk me into the deepest depression that I thought I was never going to come out of. I've got to be honest, I can see why they're there, I know they're there to do a job, but I am fucking disgusted with them people. They're murderers. They nearly murdered me, mate, they really did, and they need to know that, you know, they need to know the kind of, the power that they're aware of the power that they have, but what they can actually do to an individual. It ruined me, and I'm only just coming back from it now. The funny thing is, I have to ask myself is, would I change any of it? I wouldn't change none of it, because it's made me the person that I am now, and I'm actually quite happy with who I am now.
Brian Harvey found out the hard way what the full glare of the media spotlight can feel like. But, as we'll see after the break, it didn't stop others doing whatever it takes to chase the increasingly elusive boy band dream.
If you ask me now, the difference between the Take That comeback and the East 17 comeback is very simple. Take That went out on top. Any band that goes out that way ends up coming back. When they do the comeback, they've got to start from there. Take That started from there.
They was always the winners in this country, we was always the underdogs, but that's all right, because we're not expected to hit #1 every time, whereas they are now. We're not. We can come out, we can creep out with a 46.
That's a good one, wasn't it? 46.
Where there was them, there was us. They haven't got the full line-up, and neither have we. But we can still do the job.
I would never encourage E17, and I never have, to get back together. I think once it's over, it's over.
Don't you know we've come too far now?
This is strictly paying the bills, paying the rent, paying the gas, electric.
I mean, if the boys need a few quid to carry on living, well, good luck to them.
That your love was gonna be.
I mean, we go away now, we go and do gigs, and we're in Europe and Russia and stuff, and there's 20,000 people there.
Still winning awards. Yeah, from Exit FM in Russia. We love East 17. Ooft, ooft, ooft. Yeah, it was for not coming back for 5 years.
I would like to hope that this year we can get back out there and just make records, because if we can do that, mate, we'll be the happiest people on earth.
Brian and the boys may still make it. All the nostalgia might fizzle out again for a few more years, but there will always be a place in the hearts and record collections of many UK fans for their favourite